Safe to say that any warmth between Donald Trump and Bill Clinton is officially gone this morning. Trump once again brought up the former president's affair on the campaign trail last night, or his past discretion. So far, the Clintons showing no evidence that the Republican frontrunner is getting under their skin. So why does Donald Trump continue to push the issue? Here to discuss this morning, Tea Party activist, Trump supporter, and chief political correspondent for USA Radio Network, Scottie Hughes, and former George W. Bush political director and chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Matt, let me ask you, because to a certain extent you've been running campaigns against the Clintons for a lot of years. Is there fertile ground here for Donald Trump when he brings this up?
Yeah, I actually think it's a strange case where it helps both candidates. It helps Donald Trump to be taken on Hillary Clinton. It's no surprise that Republicans don't like Hillary Clinton, and they really don't like Bill Clinton because he did such an effective job of beating them 2 times. And it also helps Hillary Clinton within the Democratic contest because anybody on the Democratic side who's being vilified by Donald Trump is just going to do even better with those voters. So it's an interesting case where it helps both.
And, Scottie, you know, it is interesting because Donald Trump, among other things, last night said, you know what, his own personal life is fair game now also. You know, you are on the ground. You've been on the ground in a lot of the states where there are a lot of voters who have different interests, say Iowa, with a strong evangelical voting base. I don't know how much they know about Donald Trump's past.
Well, that's the thing, is that everybody knows it. Just take a quick Google search and you'll find out, is Donald Trump's life has been in the public eye for the last 20 years. But there is a major difference between Bill Clinton and Donald Trump's personal relationships. Bill Clinton did it while he was on the taxpayer dollar. He did it in the governor's office. It happened in the White House. You know, Donald Trump did it in his own private time as he was a private corporation. That is a big difference, and I think that is what separates it.
What is interesting is even as you describe that there, and even if you agree with your depiction, it's not Hillary Clinton, it's Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton's the one running for president. Right, Scottie?
Absolutely, and that's the one thing that people are not talking about. This is the idea that she always stood by her man, which in some cases is honorable, but she never took up for the repeated cases. She never took up for the women that were underneath Bill Clinton as governor and president, that were basically, you know, a version of assaulted or was involved in these relationships. She never showed any sympathy for them. In fact, she came out and attacked those women instead of maybe standing up for them and having a little bit of sympathy for what they went through being accosted by her husband.
And this is where it gets dicey, Matt, isn't it? This is where it gets complicated, I think, for political strategists, because you're talking about a marriage here. You're talking about the marriage between Bill and Hillary Clinton, which a lot of people think, you know, what happens inside a marriage should stay inside a marriage and shouldn't be political. And this is where Hillary Clinton has been able to engender some sympathy over time, Matt.
Yeah, that's right. Hillary Clinton is given kind of a wide berth here by people because, you know, she loves her husband, but clearly her husband has done some things that are just horrible. I mean, it's, you know, we're going to hear all about it, because let me tell you one thing. Donald Trump has proven in politics that he will go places and talk about things in a very clear manner that other politicians tend to shy away. And, you know, the rules of politics tell you, boy, avoid certain areas because you could get stuck. Donald Trump goes there, and he's going to go there with Bill Clinton. He seems to get away with it because people appreciate his candor. And let me tell you, if you start talking about Bill Clinton and his moral decisions in his life, there is a lot of material.
No, but as you say, you know, it may help Hillary Clinton in a Democratic primary at the same time that it helps Donald Trump. Let's stay on the Republican race for a second, Scottie, because there's something else interesting happening just now, which is a new ad from Jeb Bush's super PAC, the Right to Rise super PAC, directly targeting Marco Rubio, talking about his voting record in the Senate. Let's listen quickly.
Days after the Paris attacks, senators came together for a top-secret briefing on the terrorist threat. Marco Rubio was missing.
The idea goes on like this for a little bit, Scottie. Chris Christie also on the campaign trail going after Marco Rubio in his voting record. It's interesting, I imagine, from where you're sitting right now, Scottie. You're a Donald Trump supporter. You tend to support people outside the establishment here. You're seeing now a lot of the establishment candidates go after each other.
Exactly, and it's fun to watch, to be honest with you, but this is basically what you're seeing is the division between Chris Christie and Marco Rubio and where Jeb's going to put his powerhouse of money, because that's all he's got, behind. And if you look at this ad, here's one interesting part of it, is that, yes, it could be very damaging to Senator Rubio's campaign. However, I find it funny that they left out the 2 things that conservatives are most upset about with Senator Rubio, which is the absentee on the Iran plan, the Iran vote, as well as the omnibus from last week. And the Jeb Bush campaign doesn't even mention this with within the ad, which just shows how off target they've been and why Jeb went from being the front runner to the absolute bottom if they can't even get this ad right.
Matt, any potential to bruise Marco Rubio here?
Yeah, I have to say I agree with Scottie on this, which is it's not about missing votes. There are thousands of votes. It's about being absent when something that's critical to the country's future is taking place on the floor of the Senate. And when you're a senator or a congressman and you're not there for that vote, you're allowing your adversaries and your opponents to characterize what you would have done and what your priorities are. And when you have Ted Cruz voting for something and Marco Rubio absent for that very same vote, it creates a political problem for Marco Rubio. It's not deadly. He can explain it, but he's going to have to explain it.
Yeah, and look, and no candidate wants to have $1 million up against him in the weeks leading up to Iowa, and that's definitely happening right now. Quickly, I want both your takes on something that happened overnight. George Pataki, suspended his campaign. He's dropping out of the race, and a lot of people are going, so what? George Pataki, he was an asterisk in the polls. But he was a 3-term governor of New York, Matt. I mean, it's significant. A 3-term Republican governor of a Democratic state can't register at all in a Republican primary.
It tells you two things about what's going on with the Republican electorate. If you put 3 terms in front of any candidate, they're probably not going to be very popular this year or next year. And if you talk about somebody who governed in a purple state, or in this case a blue state, they might be out of tone with where the Republican electorate is. The Republican electorate is ready to nominate somebody who will stand very boldly and very proudly for conservative principles, which is why you see such an upheaval in how this process is going.
Scottie, quick parting message for George Pataki?
Well, I know a lot of candidates right now are just trying to figure out how they're going to get those 84 votes that he left behind.
No, it was 79 votes, I think.
All right, guys.
Oh, 79, okay. I'm a little bit less conservative.
I think that anyone who gets in the presidential race and runs deserves some respect. So, George Pataki, we appreciate your effort in this race.
Fair
Scottie
enough.
Hughes, Matt Schlapp, great to have you.